What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today I'm going to be going over the easiest way ever for you to get blue roses in Animal Crossing New Horizon. There are several ways to get the blue rose, and previously I talked about a lot of tips and tricks on how to exactly get blue roses, in which there's a very long and complicated procedure, but there's a much simpler way. It may take a little bit more time, but I'm going to be going over that with you now. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using my second Nintendo Switch, which is in the Southern Hemisphere, and I am going to be date skipping in order to actually get the results in the game that we want to achieve. I found this method by going to gardenscience.ac, which is a simulation website that lets me run the numbers of exactly what I'm finding here. I came up with the losers bracket, but it turns out that both of these methods were actually found by other people, so I'm going to be crediting them on the image on screen. Over here is a full layout of exactly what we are doing today. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, and my patented losers bracket, and then also the double elimination bracket. I'm going to be explaining all this, and I really don't recommend fast forwarding through this video, because I'm going to be going through some stuff. I'm editing this down so it's going to be quick as possible and as helpful as possible with tips along the way. Let's dive into it. That beautiful chart on screen, you may have screenshotted that, but I'm also going to be including this super simple little, creator code that you could download at the Able Sister shop. And if you want to display that on a mural or on the floor while you're doing your breeding, then definitely go for it. My creator code is on screen. You can check it out, download it. Great. What we're going to basically do is brute force to make your life and your job a lot easier in this game. Requirements for this: seeds. You need some white seeds, some red seeds, and some yellow seeds. 20 of each is fine, 30, whatever. If it's your native flower or your sister flower and it's carried to the Nook's Cranny, either the basic or the upgraded version, fantastic. If not, wait for Leaf to show up. If you're really desperate, I don't know, go online and try to find someone who has them at Nook's Cranny. But do remember that they have to be seeds. They have to be seeds. If they're not seeds, you're not going to get proper results. You need some watering cans, obviously, some shovels, and a trash can. You don't actually need a trash can. The trash can is just to really drive home how important it is, one very large ideal here. You need a big old plot of land. Luckily for me, this is right at the beginning of the game. It's so beginning, that's still a tent. Haven't set up the Nook's Cranny shop or anything. And I have these nice big strips of land that we are going to be working with. Fantastic. Step 1, plant everything. Right here, I'm going to be planting all of my whites down. I'm going to be making just columns of 2 all the way across. I'm not going to do more than 2. Obviously, it could be, horizontal instead of vertical. And boom, that's my last seed white. Fantastic. Now, I'm just going to go and proactively start planting my seed reds, which are used for the second step. But for these, we want to be a little bit more selective on what exactly breeds, and I'm going to define that more a little bit. And I'm just going to plant one every other. I'm going to make sure that there's a gap of 1 in between. I don't want them to touch. I don't want the seed red to breed with the seed red. That'd be bad. For our seed yellows, we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing that we just did. Just plant 1, skip 1. As you're going to see, I got all my seed yellows right there, all of my seed reds right there, and all of my seed whites down here. Fantastic. Now we just need to wait until they start to grow up and sprout. I started this video at 12 p.m. in-game time on May 17th. And I'm going to keep track of that. So if you do decide to time travel, exactly how long it's going to be for you to complete this method, and if you don't time travel, how long it's going to be for you to complete this method. Also, I'm not going to change the minute. Instead, I'm just going to change the full day. When you first planted the flowers, those were known as flower sprouts. Stage 2 is a flower bud. This is stage 3, which is a flower stem. Now, the reason I decided to stop on flower stem is because tomorrow, these are going to become fully bloomed flowers. However, today, you're able to water them, and if you do water them, they can crossbreed. Now, it's important to note that if you have friends come over and water your flowers for you, up to 5 friends, you can increase the chance of a flower to reproduce or crossbreed or clone up to 80% chance, which is fantastic. But for the sake of people who don't have any friends to help come over and water, I am going to be doing this without any friends coming over and watering. Do keep in mind that you cannot use profiles on the same Nintendo Switch, but you can use multiple profiles from a second Nintendo Switch. Or just anyone visiting your island. And hopefully they're not jerks and step in your flowers. Great, let's go to tomorrow. Oh, look at that! Leaf is here! Perfect. In case I didn't have any red rose seeds, I could have just bought them from Leaf. And now that all of our roses are grown, we had 1 reproduce, 2 reproduce. Okay, as you're gonna see right here, we have 2 flowers that grew, but these are whites. We do not want these. These white roses have a 25% chance for us to get a purple rose. That is what we want. We do not want anything else that comes from these white roses, because these white roses that I just picked up are not the same as these white roses on the ground. They're not the same. Those white roses, sell them to Nook's Cranny, put them in the drop box, or just toss them in the bin. We're gonna water these again and go tomorrow. All right, we had 2 garbage. Ooh, we have 1 purple. Fantastic. That begins step 2. First of all, let's get rid of these garbage whites so they don't contaminate our beautiful pure seed whites. Now we're gonna grab our purple. Now this purple is going to be brought up to the second step of our plan, which is gonna be right next to these reds. Now, do keep in mind that if it rained at any point, then there's a chance that some of these reds have cloned themselves, as well as these yellows. And if that is the case, then those are fine, because those are literally identical copies to these reds. We're gonna plant this purple right next to this red, and we are going to water it, beautifully hydrated. And we are going to water all of our whites again. This is a great time to mention that if at any point during the day that it rains, you don't have to water your flowers. We can see that our first purple and red did not produce the flower we wanted. We had 1 more garbage white. Let's water these, move to tomorrow. Today I got my second purple flower from my whites. Ooh, and my third, as we can see right down here. Sorry, Mr. Mantis. We can now take these purples and put them in our red rows, which is fantastic because now, instead of 1 group of plants having us a 50% chance to produce a pink, we now have 3 of them that have a 50% chance to produce a pink. And do keep in mind that during this stage, they can still crossbreed, so let's water them. In hindsight, if you had more white seeds, then definitely plant them, because the more whites that you start off with, the better chance you have of getting yourself this blue rose faster. It's just increasing your chances and your probability. Well, we had our first purple sprout up, but unfortunately, it sprouted up a red. And this red is not a red that we want, so it goes in the bin. Let's water these purples and just continue on. Today is now day 10, and we got our first pink over here. Fantastic. We also have a garbage red, and I don't care about that. But this pink is great news, because that is exactly what we were looking for. We are going to take this pink, and we're going to move him right next to this yellow over here. Do keep in mind, as I said before, this is a seed yellow. Now, between this yellow and this pink, we have a chance to get a hybrid red. There are 2 hybrid reds in the game that are able to get you a blue rose. Now, Peach and Key made a diagram of the Pala method, and the Pala method is fantastic, and it essentially gets you a very rare red that has the ID of, I believe this is 2220, and the 2220 gives you a 25% chance to get a blue rose, or 1 out of 4. Instead of going through really crazy steps that require testing and lots of different seed types, instead we're just doing this basic 4-step method that's going to give us a 1110 hybrid red. This hybrid red is nowhere near as good as the one from Pala's method. I'm going to be very upfront about that. It essentially only gives us a 1 out of 64 chance, but it's much simpler. If you saw the previous chart and you were intimidated by it, then this is going to be the good method for you. It's very important that you keep these separate. If these ones were next to each other, then the red could breed with a red, the purple could breed with a purple, and all in all, you can get flowers that you don't want to have. And you can get results that are not guaranteed. But by keeping them separate, only these 2 flowers can breed together. And by watering these seed whites every single day, we can bring up more flowers and keep increasing our odds. I just ran some further simulations and I found out that we can actually increase our chance of getting ourselves a pink flower by moving these purples inside of 4 reds in sort of an X shape. And this X shape is going to actually dramatically increase how many flowers can breed. Because think about it, any of the 4 reds can decide that they want to breed that day, so we're going to have a much better chance of our purples making ourselves some pinks. But this exact layout right here is actually going to give us, on average, 0.69 hybrids per day, as opposed to, if I just had them stacked together, 0.31 hybrids per day. So more than doubling our chances to get a hybrid flower. Neato. Right now marks, oh wow, it's snowing. I forgot how Southern Hemisphere works. Yeah. So right now marks 1 real life hour that I've been doing this. And if you're time skipping for 1 hour, you're at this point in the game. But if you're playing in real life and not date skipping, right now is your 13th day. I think snow counts as watering because they all have the water sparkle to them. I had a few extra of these red rose bags lying around, so I decided to plant these. We should have a few more breeding partners in, in a few days or so. Well, here we are, June 2nd. It is now 1 hour and 20 minutes into me actually recording, and 16 days of this experiment in order for us to get our hybrid red. Now that we have this hybrid red here, now begins the cloning step, which I didn't format an area for, to be honest with you. And all you have to do is just leave it alone. Just put it by itself and water it. And because there's no valid partners around it, it has a chance to clone and reproduce itself. And cloning is so much more effective than the chance of us just getting another one. But we're essentially doubling down here, and we're doing both methods at the same time because blue rose. Remember the thing we're doing? Real difficult? We're going to be cloning this for quite a bit. Because this boy, once we have 2 of them, has a 1 out of 64 chance. So we want to get that number in our favor as much as possible. Timmy randomly has white rose bags. I think I'm going to buy a few because I want to increase my my baseline of this. Because the more white roses I get, the better we are going forward. I finally got my second hybrid red, which is great because now we have twice as good of a chance to clone these. Today marks 21 days of gameplay and 2 hours of real life play with time travel. I still only have 2 hybrid reds. Gotta keep your head up. Keep your head up. It's a long process. It's an easy process, but it's a long process. And today is the very first day that one of my hybrid reds decided to clone, which is such great news, though. That's 3 flowers that all have a chance to clone. So I have that going for me, which is nice. By the way, every day I'm checking the Nook's Cranny to see if there's additional seeds that I could be purchasing to help me expand my area a little bit. Ooh. My cloned a red. Nice. Cloneception. Whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa! Everything's all covered in snow! I mean, yesterday it was snowing a lot. I'm learning about some winter stuff here. Also, Southern Hemisphere is so weird. So weird. Because, like, it's snowing right now, and as someone who's lived in America their entire life, it is super weird for me to look at the date and see that it says June 11th. That's just so weird to me. Today now marks 28 days since I started, and just over 3 hours. 3 hours, 10 minutes of time travel. And I'm now at 8 hybrid reds. For the record, I have had 4 from cloning and 4 from breeding. I am gonna stop watering the whites. Because it's just, I mean, like, if it's snowing or raining, then great. I'll take the purples from there, but it's just too much water can usage. And honestly, I don't need that many purples left. We're now at the magical point that we got 2 clones in a single day. Nice. This now marks 33 days since I started this journey and 3.5 hours via time travel. And now we are at a point that we have 15 hybrid reds. And I'm going to do something a little unorthodox here. There is a 1 out of 64 chance that these boys are going to give us a blue rose, right? However, there's a 40% chance that it's going to give us a red rose. And 3/4 of those red roses are able to produce a blue rose. So what we are going to do is we are going to rearrange these red roses in the same way that we had those white roses at the very beginning, where it's just a row of 2 all the way down, because all these are genuine, perfect hybrid reds. We're still going to try to get more hybrid reds, and then any reds that we get from these reds, we're going to make what I'm going to affectionately refer to as the losers bracket. Because believe it or not, some of the red offspring from these roses actually have a better chance at producing a blue. Now, keep in mind that 1 out of every 4 red roses is going to be a dud and cannot produce a blue no matter what. Anything that breeds with it is going to be useless. So we're actually just going to plant it in this same formation here. We're in the end game now, Tony Stark. And today we have our first entrance into the losers bracket. We're going to take this hybrid red that was made from those hybrid reds, and we're going to make sure that we are at least 2 away, and we're just going to plop them down. All right, well, this is a perfect conversation piece. Here we have an orange, and here we have a black. Now, there is some oranges that actually give us a 1 in 4 chance at making a blue. So we're also going to make a losers bracket of oranges. And there's also blacks that give us a 25% chance at producing a blues. So we're going to make a separate losers bracket for the blacks. However, any yellows, whites, or purples that come from this can never ever produce us a blue. So only the orange. Oh, by the way, there was a yellow that I grabbed, not a black, not an orange. So only the blacks and the oranges and the reds get their own separate losers bracket, okay? And make sure you keep them separate. Right here is the 4-hour mark on day 37, if you were to be doing this. And I do have a lot of hybrids. If you are at this point, oh, now is the time that you want to reach out to every single person you know and have them come over and water these flowers and like compensate them for their time, because the chance of these breeding, that's really what you want to boost your numbers of. I'm now at the point that I'm going to stop watering these. And, you know, of course, any day that it rains, I'm going to be taking flowers from there. But for the time being, I'm mostly just going to be watering these reds and then, you know, our losers bracket as well. Now checking in at the 6-week mark. Today is day 42. And we are 4.5 hours into this. I've had 2 snowfalls, which have brought me a few more purples for this area and a few more pinks for this area and a few more hybrid reds for up here, which is pretty awesome. Oh, we got a bunch of hybrids showing up. All right, so let's clean this up, water it up, and keep moving on. All of these in the losers bracket, you do not keep any of their offspring, because those are going to be so muddled that the chance of, I mean, if you want, you know, you can keep the blacks and reds to make a losers bracket. I don't even know what that's called. I don't watch sports enough. Tell you what, I'm just going to throw them over here, never water them. And, you know, if it decides to rain, then great. Like, you think these have a shot in the dark? These have a shot in the dark? Those over there? Better off finding a full odd shiny, am I right? Just checking in now at the 7-week mark. I had snowfall 1 time. No blues yet. No blues yet. I can't believe that it came from the losers bracket. You see that? The losers bracket blues. Oh, this is when I would do a reaction, but I haven't unlocked reactions yet. Losers bracket for the win! Between this one, and this one were involved with these outer 5. No idea which ones. I'm gonna move this off to the side. We're going to continue cloning our quote-unquote real hybrid reds and see how long that takes. I also thought it'd be a fun statistic to see because this tells me how many flowers I've watered. 2,608 flowers to get this. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, today is day 64. It's been 9 weeks. It has been 6 hours and 20 minutes of nonstop gameplay. I've done some cleaning up and organizing and crafting as well. But here we are. We have our first blue hybrids from our red hybrids. Or our first blues from our red hybrids. And this is a 1 out of 64 chance. Let me just log the orange and the red that popped up. Orange and red. Funny enough, that blue rose is number 66. This is my 66th rose that have come from all of these hybrid reds here, making my statistic actually almost perfect at 1.52%. Meanwhile, the calculated statistic is 1.56%. So, almost literally 1-to-1 odds. Now that is our second blue rose. I have not been watering and trying to clone our original blue rose. But boom, there we go. We have our blue rose from our hybrids, which took 64 days. And we have our blue rose from the losers bracket, which took 52 days. Also, just a heads up, my double elimination bracket has done nothing for me. I'm done. This video is done. 6.5 hours for me to get a blue from hybrid reds, and we were about an hour less for the elimination bracket. But that is 1-to-1 odds for these. I am not mad at that statistic at all. Well, there we go, guys. Wrapping up this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit the like button, leave a comment of your favorite flavor of clam. Until next time, Austin John out.